So I just have all these layers. I'm just going to hide the layer panel right now, toggling over so the section is here. But this is the candle section. And when you take a look at what they have on this, kind of a cylindrical piece. It could be perfectly straight, but you can always warp or change the shape of it later. But just trying to come up with the basic beginning of this and using some different tools to do so. So it's kind of giving this group a little bit of a selection. So I'll just set it over to the side here. So basically, taking the tool, the rectangle tool, and just creating a shape. There's some pieces hiding underneath it there. This already has a gradient fill, but if I click D, it's going to give me the default of a white and black stroke white fill. Okay, so you can kind of see that. And I can turn off the fill just so I can see through this image to it. And inside the tools of the pen tool, you have all the keystrokes for adding or changing points, but down at the anchor point tool, it's going to give me this ability to just click and drag to change the curvature of the shape. If I hold the shift key down, it comes down symmetrical on either side. Without it, it's all freeform piece. So depending on which way you do it, sometimes you can center it by going symmetrical, then let go and keep it from the segment there. So I just kind of set that there. Now that's not a perfect ellipse, and the change might be there, so you could do the same up at the top, but you would lose that top section there. So there, I'll just use the shift key just to show it to you, and it comes across creating that shape. So I just have to find that piece that's going to be at the top of the ellipse. So I'm just going to grab and click on the intersection of these 2 points and just give myself a quick line there. If I line that up there, that's going to give me that top piece. Again, if I want to fill it with any colors, I have the eyedropper. If I click on anything, it's going to fill it with whatever that piece is. Go on the image. If I click on it, I can also grab the same piece. While it's still selected, just hold the Command key and let me grab another section. So you can kind of see the difference between that. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the color scheme that I have right here. Kind of make it simple. Hit G for gradient and the annotator shows up. There's the section across, and as you remember, you can move it around with this piece. You can scale it, crunch it down with this one, and just click and move it, the whole thing with the little widget that's right on the corner. All of these pieces, as they go through this section, show you the color scheme. If you drag, or first if you click, you'll duplicate that color. Double click will bring you into the color segment, if you recall from doing all the pieces. CMYK you can change to RGB if you wish, or to HSB, which is hue, saturation, and brightness. So you have all those, trying to refresh your memory, the swatches panel, and you have the color picker section that you can do just by clicking off that. So I just hit off the escape key. But that's the section, and if you do click on this, it'll add a piece. If you just drag it below, it takes it off. Little selection there crispens up those 2 gradients, so it's not as a soft tone. But if you click open the gradient editor, again, you get all the options that are placed in here. We can reverse it, change the angle. If you want to change the angle, you can just simply drag it from there. But that gives you that, just a quick refresh on that section. Now to change the part where they have a little decoration inside, the easiest way to do it is to just copy this first one, and you can take a look, just Command C, and then while it's on the pasteboard, just go to Edit, Paste in Front, or Command F. So now there's a copy right on top of this. And say I just eyedrop to grab this piece so it separates it pretty quickly. So the direct selection tool or selection, if I do that, it's going to allow me to just adjust this right up at the top. You keep it, it's not in proportion with that first part, but there it is right there. So a number of ways that you can do this, and this is what I wanted to show to you. If you go through the pen tool again, it's going to have add a point, hide a point, all these different things that you can try. And if you do the plus or keystrokes for it, it'll make it a little bit easier. But that's just a selection. So here's the plus sign for it. There's adding a point. So I put 3 points, take the A for the selection of direct selection tool, and this allows me to change some of the design. Now what they've been talking about is changing this part with the handles. Has 2 handles to it, selecting it back and forth. And again, if you go through the pen tool to get the anchor point tool and click on it, it's going to reset that to a corner point and allows you to click and drag out these pieces. If you click on it again, it'll reset it. So it gives you some options, but you just got to watch that last one. And then it lets you handle them independently, these points, and then you have to take the direct selection tool to actually get both points. Otherwise, you'll reset it to a corner point. Up in the control panel, you can convert them to a corner point or the curve point, depending on which one you want to select. So it gives you that option. So I'm going to delete that and do the same thing, kind of click on this again, Command C to copy it, Command V puts an item right in front, and the eyedropper makes this piece. So what I want to try this next time is to just show you the eraser tool, and depending on what size you place it in with the bracket tool, you can click on this and just draw that right across, and it erases that section, and they become separate pieces there. So it'll give you that section. It's grouped together, so you have to use the direct selection tool to take pieces out that you don't want to. Set them off to the side so you can see what's happening there. So I just want the bottom one, but that gives me that option. And again, Command C is going to give me this tool that allows me to change that shape. So it gives me a little bit of flexibility to do that part. The last part is just doing the flame up at the top. In many ways you can draw it right from the pen tool all the way, but I'm just going to show you just the ellipse tool, placing it on there. And right away I can take the direct selection tool and just either click or draw a selection box up here, and you can see it has both handles coming out. And if I click on the piece right here for the corner point, it already automatically sets that up, and I can start to twist this part to make that shape. So it gives me a little bit of flexibility. The other section is to try to make it look like a lit flame, so I'm going to Object, Path, and offset the path. Now this is set into points for the rulers, so that measurement is a little easier to work with. I'm just going to use the scroller mouse so I can see on screen what I'm trying to do. And since I have the swatches, I could just click on the color for a segment, just to give myself a brighter color. Okay, and I could do the same thing with one more. Just go to Object, select this, just go to Object, Path, and offset it again. And here it's a little bit too small, but I'll make it a little bigger. Click OK, and depending on which, here I have a little yellow hiding over here, so I can use the eyedrop tool just to fill that, swatch the color. So I have a yellow stroke with a red fill, and on this one I'm just going to take the black stroke off. And same with this outside one. In fact, I might give that a color. Let's give it yellow. So there I have this kind of a flame up at the top. I'm going to select just the middle two and just go to the Appearance panel or Effect. I can go into Effect up here as well. Shows me the same segments here, and just blur these two. So it kind of blurs that section. So again, it's three pieces that make that section up, and I'm just undoing it to put them back together. And say up on this one, if I want to blur that stroke or change that segment to it, in the Appearance panel it brings me up to this one here. This is the stroke. So I can do the same thing here. Go to Effect, Blur. Can't see it on the screen, but there it was right there. And now it has this outside kind of softer edge. You can barely see it. It's kind of on the top there. And you have options to change it within this as well. Okay, so then I can just take this and group that together. If I don't like the color of this, I can eyedrop it and take this initial gradient, take the gradient editor with the selection, and just kind of change that piece to it. Okay, so it's just a quick selection. Take all these pieces out here. It gives me a question mark because I have more than one selected with a different gradient, but the stroke is all black, so I'm just going to take all the stroke off of that for now. Or give it a color. So I could put it in with a purple color like so. And same idea, I can keep all that highlighted, imaged right there. So there it is from the bottom to the top, a little bit of a flame up there. And again, once that's made, it can twist or turn. I can group it together, and Option and duplicate it this way, and Command D, and it'll continue making a row of candles. And from in here I can modify anything to change or twist separate pieces to make it look more individual. So just a quick illustration trying to create that candle. See if you can pull that off.